Consideration of minutes, February 1st, 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I have one change, and it's on page 8, and it is under E, the motion, under E, and it does not have all voted yes, motion passed, and that should be in bold and underlined. So the motion and the statement that it had passed. All voted yes, motion passed.
Okay. Anybody else? Let me make a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, February 15th, regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? March 1st, 2023.
Yes, I have one, and it's the first paragraph after the public hearing, that Dave Scanical opened and closed the public hearing, and it says Linda Murray, co-chair. I'd like co-chair scratched. And I did talk to Amy, and this is a new secretary. Her content was really great, and she's going to do a few formatting changes for the next set.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next thing is public hearings. Temporary event permit application. Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the New England Lyman Group to host a boat show on June 10th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the town docks. Somebody here for that? This has been an ongoing.
Betsy Bryant called and said due to illness, she wouldn't be able to attend. She sent an email to Amy, and she asked if you could table it until the next meeting, or she asked if I could read this. It is our primary fundraiser. We donate to programs that encourage young people to get involved with wooden boats. We donate to the Youth Boat Building Program at the New Hampshire Boat Museum, and also to the Landing School Wooden Boat Program in Arundel, Maine, and the Lowell Boat Shop youth programs in Amesbury, Mass. The cost for the police detail will dramatically affect ability to support these youth programs. Chief Rondo said that this permit will need police detail for traffic control of 2 officers, and she had wanted to discuss that.
I think we should table it, because I found that very surprising. I think he must think it's a different event. I don't think we've ever had police officers, so why don't we table it and you want to talk to him and see if we can get that straightened out?
Sounds good.
Is that a motion?
It's a motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next, Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the Governor Wentworth Art Council host music in Cape Park on June 23rd, June 30th, August 25th, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Anybody here for that?
My notes say that somebody will be online, but I do not see anybody online.
Okay, again, this is something I think they've been doing for some time.
I checked the dates to see if it conflicted with anything that we had going, and it does not.
So would you like to make a motion to approve? Anybody else want to speak at the public hearing? Close the public hearing then.
I'll make a motion to issue a temporary event permit for the Governor Wentworth Arts Council to host music in Cape Park on June 23rd, June 30th, and August 25th, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., permit 2023-28.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanticipated funds, grant funds. Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. Their meeting, which starts at 6:30 PM in the Great Town Hall, 84 South Main, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, for the acceptance of unanticipated funds less than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B3A relative to unanticipated addition of grant funds in the amount of $4,015 to the Wolfeboro Highway Safety Grant 20-201.
Can you flip it?
It's not turned on. I think that's my fault, sorry.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Thank you.
Guy Maloney, I'm a lieutenant with the Wolfeboro Police Department, and the police department is asking the Board of Selectmen to consider and approve the additional grant funds, which will allow us to have more speed patrols and bicycle and pedestrian crosswalk patrols during the summer.
Okay, does anybody here want to ask any questions?
I just
Casey?
want to say that the backup says it's only $4,000, not $4,015.
So which number do we use?
4,000.
4,000?
It's okay if you post it and it's less.
Okay. Any questions at all? Close the public hearing, board?
We always accept money.
Move to accept, want it? Move to accept unanticipated funds less than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B3A relative to unanticipated funds, grant funds in the amount of $4,000 for the Wolfeboro Highway Safety Grant 20-201. The board previously approved $15,269.59 and have received notice of $4,000 in additional funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Town of Wolfeboro to hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the Great Hall, Wolfeboro Town Hall, regarding amendments to the town ordinance, Chapter 165-3, restrictions to add the following. F, no portion of a municipal parking lot shall be used for storage in excess of A above, of personal vehicles, equipment, or trailers without written permission of the Board of Selectmen. Somebody here to speak to that?
I believe Tavis is town planner.
So nothing really to add on the recommendation that you're opening a public hearing on. I was made aware later of concerns about A and D conflicting and B and D conflicting. So I am going to mention I've been working with town manager on revising all of the parking sections because many of the parking sections conflict with each other. So if you want to act on this tonight, that's fine. It would take effect. But just for reference, there's section A 202, 3 through 5, section 16.4, 164, 5 through 20.1.
That
So-
you're going to be working on to change, but if we vote on this today, it would take effect, and we can address any
Correct.
trailer that's in there, and when we go to update, we could also make some changes to it, if
Correct.
so needed.
Correct.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Anybody else want to speak in favor or against? Close the hearing. Board?
Move to amend the ordinance to add to Chapter 165-3:F, no portion of a municipal parking lot shall be used for storage in excess of A above of personal vehicles, equipment, or trailers without written permission of the Board of Selectmen.
I'll say,
Okay. Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Bulk vote, weekly manifest. report of intent to cut timber warrants. Somebody want to make a motion for bulk vote A and B?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
New business. Approval of hawkers and peddlers permit location number 4. This is for Z. Hayford. Oh, there you
And here
are.
I am.
Okay.
Hi, I just wanted an opportunity to introduce myself and to let you know that I'm a long-term resident of Wolfeboro. I'm also a teacher in Governor Wentworth and a local artist, and I have a little shop at 94 Center Street. I'm a silversmith, and I'd like the opportunity to promote my business through the peddler's market.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I have just one. Amy talked to you about your need for a State of New Hampshire Department of Revenue license.
So I did call them, and they told me I didn't need a permit because I'm not selling alcohol, tobacco. And if my sales were at a certain point, then I would need that. But I'd be more than glad to look into that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and all of them, people have it. It's a hawkers and peddlers, a simple little permit.
Okay.
You know, I'm fine as long as we get that straightened out.
Okay, is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve this hawkers and peddlers application for location number 4.
Can we amend that motion so that it includes the appropriate state permit?
Very nicely done, yes.
It says contingent upon receiving a copy of the state of New Hampshire hawkers.
Yep.
Right.
Second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next is the approval for the fire truck lease purchase. Tom?
Thank you. As I presume you're aware, the Article 15 was approved yesterday. And you have, I believe, an explanation in your backup material. The interest rate we received in our quote and the price for the apparatus in our quote are very time sensitive. So in light of yesterday's approval, we ask for your adoption of the resolution that was included in the backup material tonight to allow us to move forward to finalize the financing for the vehicle and continue to move forward. We did do some due diligence with that and discussed the financing with all 5 local banks, or banks that have local branches. We did not receive a quote any better than the Leasing 2 one that you'll see in front of you, although they did participate. All but one responded to us. So we're recommending we move forward with that, and I do have the paperwork, which requires approximately 14 signatures of the chair of the Board of Selectmen. Legal counsel has advised us that the town manager apparently can't sign a lease. It has to be a chair of the board, which is why we're here tonight. But I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Approximate time of delivery of the vehicle?
The contract is for 300 days, which technically puts us, I believe, January 9th.
Okay.
Based on history and accounting, we kind of think we may see it before Christmas, as they probably want to get it off the books in 2023, similar to what we did with Truck 5. So again, the contract is for 300 days. We suspect we may see it a bit sooner than that.
So would somebody like to make a motion to have the select chair sign the paperwork?
Can I just make one comment? I believe in Jim's memo, he would like it to be us, for the board chairman to sign it, but contingent on a positive outcome of any recount. So we won't submit the paperwork till after Friday to see if there's a recount necessary. Because it was only passed by 60.6%.
there's no reason why we couldn't sign it tonight.
That's correct.
No.
He just has to hold it.
That's
No,
correct.
this was Article 15. It passed well into the 70% range.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I know what you're referring to, but yeah.
Yep, sorry, I made a mistake here.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
And that also includes the resolution that we needed to,
Yep.
okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Again, there's a bunch. I'll wait till you're done before we put that in front of you, as it may take a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay. We also have on our agenda Hunter's payment in lieu of taxes. I think basically what Brian, you going to deal with this?
Yeah, we found out that it's against both our town attorneys and our assessor's recommendation that we have a pilot program to reduce Hunter's taxes for their property. They are being reduced to only the value of the land and not the building. And I had it under some information that due to their insurance clause, they will be getting paid for their insurance for the building anyways as part of their insurance. So.
But a nice gesture.
We tried.
So did you want to make a motion, Brian?
I believe Jim's memo says with no further action required at this time.
Okay.
So moved.
I didn't see that. All right. Up next then, Pop Whalen Ice Rink rates.
Thank you. Victor Drouin with Friends of Pop Whalen. So I'd gone through and put together some suggested prices, which I ran through Christine and sent over to Jim. But the goal is this building converts from a hockey rink and ice center in the winter to a four-season operation. Some of the rates that we adopted a couple months ago or 6 weeks ago were not included. So there are three essentially large meeting rooms out there of different sizes, and I just noted that, the media room is 12 to 14 people. The stretch room would hold 20 to 22, that sort of thing, just so you guys can get a feel. There's different flooring in there so that they can host different uses, different type of events, and make them useful. But my recommendation after kind of looking at that stuff would be that those rooms essentially rent out at like $40 an hour. So if I wanted to have if I was a user and I wanted to have a dance class in there every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and I run my business essentially out of there, that I would be at $40 an hour. And we don't know what those uses are today, but we need to start somewhere until we start to fill this up and get a feel for where the building stands. So one of those, the first room, the media room, is also the intended room. We used to have pizza parties there, so if someone had a birthday party for their child, they could get an hour of ice, they get a couple hours of room. So I'm recommending it $240. It covers the ice at $205, and basically you're discounting the room a little bit, but it seems in line with other places to hold that kind of an event. But anyway, so that's my recommendation on the rooms, is $40 across the board. Current users, I mean, if you're holding a tournament there and you're buying $3,000 or $4,000 worth of ice or whatever, and you're hosting a tournament room, there wouldn't be a fee. I'm talking about enterprise-style people that would come in and say, I want to rent ice, I want to rent a room from you. I'm not renting anything else over here. So for now, until we really, again, get a feel for it, we're talking about enterprise-type users that this would be applicable to.
I just have two quick questions. One, anybody who rents, do they need to carry their own insurance?
That's a town, right now, if Adult League or Back Bay Hockey or anyone else has to sign the agreement with the town, which has all the indemnity clauses, and we would provide a certificate to the town. If I rented it for a birthday party, I don't know what the town's policy is. I don't know how Parks and Rec handles that currently. So I think it's a little bit of a blend, but I think one of my recommendations at the end of this might help pick up some of that, or
Okay.
it just could be a basic rental agreement with an indemnity clause, and when you sign it, if you want the room for an hour for a birthday party, right?
Yeah, because I was just thinking, in case something gets broken, we got to make sure we're covered. And how about cleanup fees? If somebody comes in there and they do something, and who's responsible? Are they responsible to have it brushed clean by the time they leave, or have we thought about that?
So that's the policy for like lockers, right? If anyone goes in, any teams go in and out of locker rooms, the coach going out is supposed to be cleaned up. He's not mopping the floors,
Yeah.
but everything,
Broom
all
swept.
the tape balls, water bottles, all that stuff should be in the trash bin,
Yeah.
and that should be it, right? And at the end of the night, the staff, vacs it, cleans it, and gets it ready for tomorrow. That's the standard procedure. If I went in and I made a mess in there and I was a visiting team, I would think that I know how other rinks would notify me and send me a bill, right? If it was, if I went in and somebody wrote on the walls and made a mess, I had to repaint something or damage something, I'd get a bill. Then I'm assuming that that's how this facility would be managed as well, so.
Because with a brand-new, beautiful building, we just want to take care of it.
Right. So that's the first round of kind of pricing suggestions. And then the pickleball, we talked about pickleball. So we talked about renting the floor at an hourly rate for youth. So we set it at $40 an hour for youth, $50 an hour for adults. My recommendation is for what I've seen when you do pickleball, and it's anticipated that that's going to start in April. One of my suggestions would be is that we sell a monthly pass, similar to like right now we sell skate passes, right? So if you're going to public skating or stick practice, you buy a card at $60, $70, and it gives you 10 visits. So I'm thinking of something similar to that. It seems like pickleball is $40 to $50, so the rate I picked was kind of in the middle at 46. We don't have high-end courts. We're not epoxying the floors. We don't, hopefully we'll get to that at some point. But today we're kind of at a middle of the line. We've got a great facility, but the floor surface and things isn't high-end. It's mid-grade. So I'm picked a price in the middle. So really, those are my suggestions. I've talked to Christine a little bit about online booking. She claims that we have some of those capabilities through RecDesk. I haven't seen it produced yet so that you can feel and touch it, so that you could kind of go in and look at what it would look like. But I would think that we would, if RecDesk can't do it, that we would go with an online type of a booking system where you would book the courts and you would go through and check in that way, which would save us from having an extra staff person sit up front at a desk and paying salaries. So it would be more of, someone walking around maintaining the facility, but then you don't have the second person that is necessarily sitting up front. It would be an electronic check-in kiosk type of a situation. But in having used those before, and to Brian's point, when I acknowledge and when I pay, so I go on and I book my court, I acknowledge any indemnity, right? So I have to check here, check his, check this box, put in my credit card, my billing, it passes through, but I've acknowledged that indemnity portion. So I would suggest that we make sure we incorporate that into any sort of online or automated check-in system. So, and I know the check-in system was a line item that was added to the budget. So that was approved yesterday. So at that point, I don't know that we need a special approval. It was actually a line item that was included in that budget. So I believe that that's essentially authorized at this point to come up with that. And I'm not sure what that system is, but I think we need to get to that pretty quick.
I know that they already have, when I go to get a ski pass for my grandkids, I have to have all sorts of waivers and indemnity that I have to do. And so I think we have the system, at least we do for the Hill, I know for a fact. So we'll just need to get this in sync with that and take care of getting that indemnity. And my understanding, I talked to Jim, is that he at the April 5th meeting is going to come with a full sheet of all the fees and different scenarios for there. So what I find is we said this and we said that. Well, you know, if somebody wanted to come do a birthday party and they wanted to run soccer out on half the rink, how much is that? Well, that isn't here. And he was going to have all that put together. And so I think these are great suggestions. But I would like us to have a master fee list for everybody to see, and we all are on the same page.
Mm-hmm. So for the monthly thing, so we're scheduled to open April 4th or 5th for pickleball, so we're going to wait until the 4th or 5th meeting before we start advertising it, which was the whole purpose of me showing up tonight, was to get this done.
I can pass that, but I'm trying to get, we made this thing and we meant that, and then the sheet goes out with the wrong amount on it, and so I'm trying to get us to get something on a sheet so we all are in agreement on what the costs are. And he isn't back until then. I have no problem putting out the pickleball. What I would do if I look at the pickleball, I would bring it down to $6 a daily pass, because I know they're paying $5 up at the high school for that facility, so I think $2 more. And I would also like to not give them from 2 to 7. I'd like to do it from 8 to 2:30, because there was conversation about lacrosse wanting to come into the facility.
Who coming in?
Lacrosse, the kids' lacrosse teams. So I wanted to have enough time so in the afternoon, if there are any of the spring sports teams, that they could come in.
Yeah, I just put I had put a guide in, so as kind of the thoughts were, you know, if you book these out on certain, this was for purposes of creating the operating budget, I kind of had figured that there was a certain amount, so if lacrosse came in, you can actually divide that hockey rink into segments, so there's floor hockey, right? So we've talked about that as something coming in. That would use a third of the floor, but that would still leave 4 pickleball courts. So 16 people could come play pickleball, and you'd have 25 kids playing down on the other third, and you're renting that out at $40 an hour. So you're getting that full multi-purpose, because we still have the cross ice dividers that are on our cart, like Back Bay does. So whether it's on ice or whether it's on cement, it doesn't matter. We wheel it out there, set it up, and we divide a third off and run it, and then...
Do you have any netting that'll come down if you're playing lacrosse? Yeah. You're going to have balls.
Not for lacrosse. I'm talking about like for street hockey or something like that. So that would have to be different, you know.
Okay.
You know, actually, in talking to Kurt for the lacrosse, they want the whole facility.
Right.
But he also said he needs it for 2 hours for a week. So we're talking about 5 days. So that was his only request. So, you know, I don't want to block out from April to June because somebody wants 1 week of, has one week of 2 hour, 2 hour, 10 hours of
But you can't really advertise that it's going to be there if we're going to block out a week. So we need to work whatever that is out. Or you say to a certain time and others contingent on availability or something of that nature. Or if we know the week it's out. I just didn't want to not allow lacrosse to go in there.
Right.
Had Little League, have they approached you?
Little League has not, no. No, we've spoken with Kingswood High School. Right now, they say they're okay. They're interested, but, right now, they feel that they're okay.
So what you're looking for us is to set the price for pickleball tonight, so we can move forward advertising.
Well, I think we're 2 months behind on advertising. This should have been published 2 months ago, and it's not. And it's, to me, it's, I asked back in August, what is the spring programming? When this thing shuts down, what are we going to do? And right now, there's crickets. So I feel that we're taking the ice out March 26th. If we meet May 5th and we say, let's start approving rates and let's finally publish this, and then it's going to be the end of April, and then people are going to say, well, gee whiz, I can play pickleball out on Foss Field by then, right? So we're missing the boat because we've had 8 months to get this done and we haven't. So that's why, I'm, from a Friends of Pop perspective, we sold this, that this was going to be a 4-season facility, and we're not operating it like it's a 4-season facility. We're operating it with no direction and no information out to the public. So, to me, I hope that we can settle some rates so that we can say, we're going to do this starting April
I think
4th or 5th.
Yeah, I think we should set the pickleball rates at $6 for a daily pass and the $46 for a monthly pass. And with the exception that we can make room for the 1 week or 2 week of lacrosse so that it all fits.
And I'll second that motion.
Yeah. No one's pinned down a schedule. I was trying to create an outline for you to look at. I wasn't giving you the hard schedule, but it was kind of an outline of how it could be.
Is all these other items here, like the cornhole, is that all set already? Is that published, or are those items still hanging out there too? Like the $85 a team for cornhole or all these other rates already stay, are those?
In the past, Parks and Rec has done cornhole. As it worked out for a team, for a 6-week league, the way they run it, this works out to about $3 a night per person. So I thought, I'm sorry, per hour. So it's per person, so it's super cheap, right? Yep. So I thought that was,
Is the cornhole league ready to go? Do they have any schedule in place? Do they know when they're going to set up, or?
Molly told me that they did it, that she had about 10 or 12 teams last time they did it. It was Tuesday, Thursday. It's primarily in April.
Primarily in April. Okay.
So let's set the cornhole rates.
That April-May timeframe.
It's $85 a team for a 6-week league.
So we'll
And what time do you know what time they did it? Did you just say?
It
and
was
I didn't
evening.
hear? It was evening too.
It was like 6 to 8 or something like that. But again, if it's 10 teams, it's only 5 cornhole boxes, so you can
You can keep
can
4
segment.
pickleballs.
Right. You could do both sports at the same time.
So we have a learning curve. We understand that.
Yeah, I mean
It's a learning curve. It's a whole new facility and a whole.
But again,
Yeah.
if we take
cornhole.
that,
Yeah.
if we do that and we say,
I was just
hey,
trying to figure out if all these things are
cornhole
already-
league starts April 10th, people can start to plan it and you can start
Okay.
to sign
So-
teams up.
So other than cornhole and pickleball and lacrosse, is there anything else that wants to schedule right now that's waiting to use the facility?
There were a couple birthday inquiries. How do those happen? And there's ice available now. So I know there were a couple inquiries. I don't know the details on those.
So I'd like to amend my motion to include $85 a team for a 6-week cornhole league on top of the 2 weeks for lacrosse and the $6 a daily pass and 46 monthly pass for pickleball for April, May of this year, or however it works.
Yeah, the lacrosse rates were already set. I know Back Bay wants to do some street hockey in there, but that rate's already set, so not asking for anything there. We'll figure the schedule when it works.
Okay, so I'll second that. So that'll get us the cornhole and pickleball rates set here tonight.
Correct.
And
think
then,
so.
and then we can get a master chart of all the fees, and so there's some continuity, and we know where we are on it, and we get the right numbers out.
Yep.
Does that work for you?
I think that's good.
I guess I have a question. Why, we're talking about, the cornhole, the pickleball and stuff there. Why not also include the media rooms? And, with the understanding, from Victor there, it sounds, I understand that the hours he has listed here of the pickleball are kind of just to show us, what could happen there, but those are definitely, they're not locked in at all. It's all to be determined, I guess, as to how many hours they want and what the usage would be. So there'd be definitely openings for the lacrosse and the other teams and stuff. If Kings would want to come in with a baseball team, they could find a slot in there and rent some time. So I know I'd be in favor of approving the way that Jim made the memo here to us for all of these with that understanding. Would be my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
You wanna add
My
that?
thought is if you set the rates, you can start to, advertise. You can go and talk to a yoga instructor and say, hey, it's $40 an hour. Do you want to do yoga here? If there's a great room for it, do you want to do yoga? Do you want to do dance? What do you want to, there's different things that these could be utilized for. And once you set them, then you can, but it's like, well, I don't know how much the room's going to be. It's like, and again, I'm guessing that $40 to $50 an hour is probably the range, but that's.
We can always change them if we need to.
What I was trying to get from him was, we have one for, let's say, a birthday party, and we have ice time and then 2 hours of rental. I was trying to get that also for when ice was out, that you could go in there for a birthday party. And my understanding is we've had no input from Park and Rec, and that's why I was kind of holding up. I'm comfortable if we want to go 40, but I think we've got to have a sheet where it all is and we're all in agreement. I said if it's a birthday party, if it's for a youth, it's less than if it's for an adult. So I think we just need to have that.
Yep.
I can go along with having them all put in now, but having this piece of paper and that piece of paper over there makes no sense at all to me.
So is that part of our motion that?
We can add, it's $40 an hour for the rental of the rooms, it's my understanding.
I didn't think that was in the original motion, though, was it?
We're just adding it now.
Okay.
I was going to say, you want to add into your motion what Brad just said about
Yes.
the rooms?
Yep. And,
Linda, you
and
agree
we
with
have to make sure in that motion that we will be given a master,
Right.
a master rate schedule. When?
Jim, I believe, told Linda he'd have it at the April 5th meeting. is what
At
I
the
heard.
April 5th meeting.
Yeah.
I was trying to get it before he left, but I didn't get it.
I think we've set all the floor rental rates, right? We set it for ice, for prime and non-prime. We set it when the ice goes out for the court.
Right, but we wanted on one
by
piece.
hour, right, for youth and adults. So the court, we have pinned down. This pins down 80% of the rest of it, and there may be other things that we haven't thought of yet.
Okay.
But I think this would give us a good guide to at least being able to publish pickleball, publish cornhole, get them out, and start signing up teams, and let's get this ready to go. And then there's still, if we pin down the rooms, we can start advertising and posting that too, and saying, okay, well, rooms available, and then you can start taking people through that may have interest in conducting classes there. But those would be under a license, not a license agreement, but a more sophisticated MOU, I think.
And I think what we're looking for as a board is a piece of paper that has it all on, so when we see quotes of rates that agrees with the sheet and we have them all in one place. That's what I'm trying to get in this, and that's what Jim said he would get us and make sure we were all on the same page on that. And these would be included in the rates we did earlier, and so the whole thing would be there, and you'd have it, we'd have it, and
Right.
Park and Rec would have it.
Here's one that's just completely different, non sequitur, but I have to ask. I've had a lot of people suggest events there. Would we be dealing with the construction company or the engineer if we decide to talk to them about certain activities on the ice surface? People have mentioned car shows, boat shows, motorcycle shows, things like that. And I've said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. We don't know what that surface can hold for weight. We don't know about oil, gasoline spills on it. Even when you break off the pickleball courts, you're going to have to tape things down. How do we do that and make sure that we don't, leave damage on the surface? Who would you recommend we talk to?
So just remember, just went through a whole construction period where all we had out there were man lifts and lulls and every kind of equipment. The cranes weren't on the floor, but
Yeah.
we had a lot of equipment on that floor.
Okay.
So the floor, just for purposes of a car show, a boat show, those sort of things, oil spills, I can assure you that might have had one or two, and you just have to clean them up, right? And, there's certain solvents that you have to use, and you need to make sure they're done quickly. But the floor for normal sorts of in and out in the summer is fine for that sort of an event. Obviously, you don't want any drilling into the floor because it's, we have the system,
Yep.
the cooling system is in the floor. So, there's no drilling or attaching to the floor. That's the one thing. But for regular, just moving things in and out and having a show, I mean, they do it at Everett Arena all the time.
Okay.
There's different shows in there. There's boat shows and things at the Everett. And, so it's, that should not be a real worry type of thing.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve what we've been listening to. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thanks, Victor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next our agenda is Luke.
So,
The discussion in reference to iPads.
so as the liaison I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've been talking to Amy about it. So as the liaison to the police commission uses iPads for all their meetings, all their packets and stuff like that. And I'm not taking away anyone's packets. I know a lot of people like using the paper and stuff like that. One of the companies that I consult for, Applied Mimetics, did COVID tracking back last couple of years and have a massive surplus of iPads. And so in thinking about it, they were like, I know the owner so very closely, so I was like, hey, could I get some iPads if I wanted them to let some of the different boards in town start to at least try them as an addition to, all the paper that we use and all the different things that we do. And Amy said that, if I got the iPads and we got them donated to the town, that, she would certainly upload this board's, all the paper stuff on that, and we could, try to see how that worked out. Maybe Tavis could, would be willing to upload some of the ZBA stuff or the planning board stuff onto a couple of them. And we could just do a trial run if someone wanted one. If it all works out, then they could have access to one. The nice thing about Apple is when you scrub an iPad or an iPhone, everything on it's completely erased. So, when we got them, they'd be completely scrubbed clean, and we could upload the packets weekly or whatever, and then basically, if the board member, if a planning board member or zoning board member is coming in, it could be in Tavis's office in a charging station, and they could come in and grab it, bring it to the meeting, and then drop it back off, before the next packet's uploaded, basically. So I just wanted to feel the board out and see if it was something that we'd be willing to at least explore the opportunity of thinking about, because we do use a lot of paper
Is it, are you talking this size?
to your full size.
Full size? Okay,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So the size, I think they're basically the size of a piece of paper, like the ones that, and we had, this company that I worked for, it was about 63 just laying around in plastic bins. So, and in speaking to some other people about it, I think that if we did want to go down that road, I could probably get them, I could definitely get them for free the first time around. And then, if it works out, maybe we can get off of some paper. I don't know how much, I don't know, I should ask Casey this before, but I know we use an enormous amount of paper.
Yeah.
So
What's the, what do we get, how would they be saved? Would you be saving everything back up in the cloud?
I wouldn't save it. I don't, that's a great question. I was just thinking, so basically you took notes on them, you're saying?
Yeah, stuff like that. As a cost analyst, things happen to me sometimes. I just lost a job that I'd been working on for about a year and a half that had a lot of information completely disappeared off of my computer. Poof, gone. It was backed up on a server because we have to, because it's government contracts, and I was able to retrieve it from the server, bring it back, rebuild it, and put it back in. It took me 2 days. So I would just want to know that there's some kind of backup in place, because if we get our packet on Friday and then on Tuesday it's no longer on my iPad,
Yeah.
then
Well, I would propose at the beginning at least, I mean, until at some point, if you felt comfortable not having a paper packet, you could decide that. Or if, another board decided that they wanted to go ahead but there's always going to be paper no matter what. I mean, we have non-public stuff and other items that, we need to be able to touch, and probably the agenda too, to at least have the ability to take notes. That would still be a paper form. But I'm just trying to, I feel like for me, it would work fine. I don't take a lot of notes at the meeting. So I feel like it would work fine. I feel like other people probably take a lot more notes. And in certain meetings too, where you're dealing with very complicated things, you're going to be taking a lot of notes. So just an idea. And I thought about pitching it a long time ago, and then it kind of got pushed away, and then I forgot about it. And then I was just happened across these, discussing these bins of iPads laying around not being used. So I was like,
I'm a terrible typist, so I would probably have a notepad with me, and I could look at everything else on the iPad.
yeah, the
as we
police
went.
commission just scrolls through this stuff.
Yeah. Because
Their pages.
by the time I type, the meeting would be over.
Well,
Could I
my-
ask a question?
Yeah,
Do you know if there is any license needed for these?
I'll find that out too.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
was
can
gonna
find that
say.
out too. I wrote
Okay.
it down as a question, but, so I just didn't know if there was a cost. And I would think you wouldn't want to back up 5 copies of the same agenda. I would think that Amy would have it on her computer and it would be backed up to the server. So if you did lose it,
You go to Amy, she has servers,
Yes.
and so we back up on stuff on our servers now.
yeah.
But
Oh, every day, a lot of times.
it can be scanned in. I used to get it with COVID, and when Paul was on it, she would scan it, and I would download the packet to my computer, and I'd take it off my home computer and work on it there. So if she scanned it in, it could go to any computer we wanted.
But hers would be backed up, you know what I mean?
I
Like, she would
understand that,
have-
yeah.
We'd have a copy, so if y'all lost your iPads, that we could still get it back, without your notes, but,
Well, I think we ought to have Luke look into it further.
I'll look into it.
See what
Yeah.
we can do. It makes sense to me.
I have no problem learning something new.
Good.
Okay. You'll take care of that, Luke?
Yes.
Say,
Back to it.
as old school as I am, I'd be willing to take a look at it too.
Well, did I mention it to you yesterday?
Yeah.
And you kind of looked at me like, oh boy, and I was like, I'm not going to steal your paper away too. I'm going to let you keep your paper.
I want chalk and a little board.
Yeah, I download it to my home computer and then, use what I need here. And if I
Okay.
wanted to print something, print it.
Next on our agenda is Libby trustees meeting, warrant article status.
I'll make a motion that we go into the trustees of the Libby Museum. Is that what we're doing?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So I got a few things just to go over here quickly here. As you're all aware, yesterday's vote fell a little bit short for the warrant article. We had yes votes of 848, no votes of 647, which is 56.7%. We fell 49 votes short. So we kind of talked with Jim last week, and different scenarios, whether it passed or didn't pass. Some of the things we came up with was, I came up with a list of about 4 things we need to really talk about. I'll say what they are there, then we'll kind of go through them one at a time, I think, anyway. One would be, I think the first thing would be we should talk about is to authorize the museum to open for this coming year. It's budgeted in and stuff. Then I thought, too, we should probably, put together a letter to the Friends, asking for what their thoughts are, their future plans, now that they know what the numbers are and stuff like that moving forward. And then, we're going to talk about what type of repairs, how we want to approach the museum, and, not to act on tonight, obviously, but to get in our mind thought anyway, any future warrant articles to add to capital reserve funds and stuff like that for projects moving forward. So I guess, the first thing I'd like to bring up, maybe it'd be just to, see if the board's in favor of authorizing the museum to stay open for this 2023 season.
Yes, so moved.
Absolutely. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I would be very interested to see how much of their donations will stick, even though the town warrant article didn't pass. And how much of that we will be able to still use with the funds that we currently have towards renovations, and if they're able to do that with and for us.
Yeah, we can ask. My initial thought and understanding is that all of the donations and all of the pledges they got were contingent upon it passing this year. If it didn't pass, everything's going back.
Usually when you write a pledge, I know like the library, it would be contingent upon the warrant article passing, but it doesn't mean that you can't go back to that same donor and ask them for another year whether you would be in your changing project.
That's kind of why the letter would be important, to see what the flavor is of the Friends of the Museum is, to see if they even want to pursue this for another time or not, so.
I agree.
Yep. So I guess, moving on, I think everybody's in favor, we probably, send some type of letter to them, ask them that. I think they're going to meet around the end of this month here again, so they could talk about it at their meeting and stuff, and then, get back to us with their thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if we have $375,000, if they have enough donors that would match that, dollar for dollar at least, so that we end up with, $750,000, we could do a lot of needed work on that museum. I don't know exactly how much we can, but it would get us a start to get it in a nice shape.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on what their appetite is to go through this again, so.
But I think your idea of we need to go over that facility and see what kind of repairs we need to do to open it, and it just needs to take place. And what ones, if we are going to keep it, as you were saying, how much do we put aside a certain year? And I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think that Sean Bergeron has got probably the best insight into repairs of what needs to be repaired there. So I think we ought to, once we send letters out and stuff and see what we have, that we contact him again, because some of the things like stabilizing the walls, not too difficult to brace those walls up so it won't move anymore. That's a big item. We can take plaster off the inside and structure it so it won't move further. We need to stabilize it. I think we stabilized quite a bit of it underneath to hold the weight at this point. It doesn't say that we need probably need to patch at least some of the foundation that's crumbling.
I think we have a
But
few.
we've got a fairly new roof on it. We've got cables holding it together. We've got some other things that we need an ADA compliant bathroom. We need a few other things which could add up to $500,000. So, but that's the kind of stuff we have to do to that building.
We might be able to add a series of 4 mini splits to it, and that might be enough to take the humidity out of the building during the summer.
Could be. I mean, we just invested quite a bit of money in the ramp across the street and the dock and the wall system. So that's
did.
pretty stable at this point as far as that side of the road. Septic system, I think, Brad, you and I talked about that. That's relatively new.
Yep.
So that's taken care of. We do need a new electrical system in there, which needs to be done, and the stabilization of the walls. So I think, like Brad said, the letter out to the friends and see what what their ideas are or what their philosophy is going to be.
I'm sure right now we already moved the most fragile things out in the winter, don't we?
No.
No, everything's in there still.
So, we could move the most fragile things out during winter months to preserve them. And then in the summer, when it gets humid in the spring, summer, and fall, if we had mini splits in the building, we could maintain the humidity, and that would help the artifacts, keep them from deteriorating, especially the most fragile artifacts.
But like, that's all well and good, but the electrical system that's there will not handle that.
Okay.
Will not handle that kind. It's only a 200 amp service, I think. So we need at least probably 400 amps or more in that building. So those are things we need to look at and figure out. I think the first thing, I agree with Brad, that we need to send a letter out to the friends and find out where they're at as far as timetable even, whether they want to get involved again or not. They may just say, no, this was the only chance you guys had and it didn't go through. So then we got to say, okay, it's our building, we own it, we need to spend some money on it now, or as soon as we can get money available. So.
Well, and I think we held up. We had that 300,000, which was to be for repairs and
Yep.
maintenance, and to help them, or to help the whole project, we held on to it. And so, knowing where they are, then we can decide whether we want to start really spending
Get
that.
some more, Brad?
No, we pretty much covered all the things there. I think, talking, Dave's comment about contacting Bergeron Technical Services there would be the way to go, because they did the original assessment there a few years ago. They could come in and kind of update it, because some things have been done in there, some minor repairs and stuff. So I definitely think that's the way to go, to get an updated condition report from them. And they can kind of prioritize and give us some cost estimates on what some of these repairs would cost, so we can kind of plan out, especially looking forward to the future year, future next year and stuff like that, for a warrant article, what kind of money we might be needing, and move forward that way, a step at a time, really, right now. So,
Any other comments as far as the museum?
May I just ask a question? When you say we should send a letter, is that from the Board of Selectmen? Or would you like Amy or the town manager to work on that?
I think we want to get it out.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
I can ask Amy if she could.
This is a Libby trustees meeting right now, so it should come out from us as the,
yeah, have Amy write a letter
yeah,
and have us all sign it.
yep.
And when she has it, we'll come down and sign it.
I could help put some of the language together if you want, to get to Amy and work with her on it. You said she'd be back in Friday? Okay.
Is what we're anticipating.
Yep.
Dave, I think Bobby wanted to ask, so
Yes.
Yeah.
Bobby Budman. So here's my question. We had a situation this election, which I'm sure most of you know, that we had a little issue where our ballots went out a little late. And I know quite a few people who would like to still vote, and there are isn't there a way that we can call a special hearing? Because quite a few of our voters were disenfranchised, and this is a very close vote. Is there a way to get enough signatures to call a hearing and have a hearing on a few of our closer warrant articles that people were disenfranchised?
I think you have to call a special election.
town meeting.
And you got to get that approved by the court, I believe.
Yes.
Before you can do that. You just can't say, oh, we're going to.
It's not by a number of a number of signatures
No.
to call a special hearing?
No.
Okay.
You have to petition the court.
Say that again.
You have to petition the court, like
Okay,
Linda said.
just because I know quite a lot of people did not get their absentee ballots because they were printed, and through no fault of the town, I'm not saying that. And there's no RSA that says they have to get out in a certain amount of time, but there are a lot of people who felt very disenfranchised by this vote.
Well, the only thing I can tell you, we had, I think, just over or right around 2,000 people show up to vote. So I think this town did very well as far as the weather conditions and everything to get the vote out. Always have been.
Yeah, I could be misspeaking, but I think we had a larger turnout this election than last March. So,
Yeah.
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 Well, we had given some thought to some of the other warrant articles, but we would have had to petition the court in order to bring them back up. Yes.
Do it now.
Do it now.
That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Your discussion kind of changed my trend of thought
Would
here.
you just
but-
state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Suzanne Ryan,
Thank you.
taxpayer. And I emphasize taxpayer because we just lost $2.2 million with this vote. And the vote was a yes vote by popularity, but it just didn't meet the bond requirement of 60%. So I think you need to give special attention to that. It wasn't voted down in the sense of popularity vote. And I don't know as though this piecemeal that you're talking about, using the $75,000, give or take, is going to set well with the Attorney General's office, who has previously issued a letter to the town saying, you know, you got to move forward with this. I don't know if that will comply with what they had in mind. And I don't know as though it meets your fiduciary duty either. That is probably a legal question. And I don't know what you say to the people that stepped up and said, we'll give you $2.2 million. And with that in mind, I go back to the question of special town meeting. I just heard you say that you can't do it unless you go to the court and ask for permission to have one. But I think you've got a good case as to why you could. There are several criterias under there for which I think you would fit. The emergency would be the building needs to be fixed to the standard of the Secretary of State for Historic Buildings. The issue is you've got people willing to give you $2.2 million, and I think that that would bode well in a court of law that would say, well, gee, that's a shame. Why don't you go back to the people and do no, I'm not to be critical, but do a better job of selling it. And I think it's something that you need. I would ask Brad and David, who have been staunch supporters of this from the beginning, to get together with town council and not ask if we can do it, but how the heck can we get to do it? Because lawyers have ways of doing things that we just don't always think of. And I will just say that there are 3 statutes under which you may be able to hold a special town meeting. And one of them is 39-1, and that's the Board of Selectmen can call a special town meeting for an occasion. Now, I have no idea what the technical legal term would compute to, but it may fit the bill. And then there's 31-5, which is the emergency one where you go to court and ask a judge. And I think that there's plenty of material you could use to qualify for that. And then there is 39-3, which is petitioned by 50 voters. 50 voters would sign a petition to call for a special town meeting. And that would be presented to the Board of Selectmen. Now, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but you have the facility of your own council that can help you do this. If you really want to do it, I think you could find a way to do it. And I'm not talking about next week, maybe in June or something like that when the weather's good. It would be nice to go meet and vote when the weather's good. So that being said, I would say that at least you would be showing the effort of trying to comply with the Attorney General, with your fiduciary duty to satisfy the 800 or some odd people that voted yes, and then also not scare away the $2.2 million. That, you'd keep them, maybe they'd be willing to wait to see if this could be done before they have every right to pull their money. So
here's a unique idea. Let's take the...
Wait a minute. You all set?
yeah. Oh, I didn't know. I
Okay.
thought somebody was saying something. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Do you really want to say? The only thing I was going to say to that, and Linda can probably tell me more because I wasn't, but how many times did it take for town hall to pass?
It took us 4.
I supported it and I voted yes on it. I would have a hard time holding a special meeting to do that. What I would say is that I would hope that those that wanted to invest their money and their effort would continue to try to do what they have set out to do. And sometimes you can't get it done once. The Friends came to us at a time where they knew that the public safety building, which had been planned out for many years, was going to be on the warrant for this coming year. So it did go up against that. It wasn't a standalone in the sense of that. There were two big asks of Wolfeboro taxpayers. And I would hope that, and to go a little bit further, even if we did have a special meeting and let's say, this Libby article was for the renovation and expansion. And I would certainly have a hard time with the expansion portion of it if it was decided at a special meeting to go forward with that, as I believe the voters have spoken on this year. And, certainly they can come back in the future and meet with us. And, the Libby is our responsibility, but I would have a hard time accepting having a special meeting for that when the voters have spoken.
So,
Well, the only thing, Luke, is I think that we ought to at least address it with our attorney
Sure.
so that we know if we can, what we need to do.
Okay.
Because, it could be a long, involved process, or it could be something simple. I don't know. All I know is that in the past, we've had our attorneys tell us that it's quite unusual sometimes for the court to grant you a special town meeting.
Yeah.
At least all the years I've been here, I don't know that we've ever had a special town meeting.
I did. I don't think you were on the board. It was when we were having trouble with the RIB site. And we
Okay.
ran a special one, and I think there may also have been the
That was
something
something that
important.
was pretty critical to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
to
and we
the
had
town,
to, we
so-
had to go to court. I just was looking up on my phone to see if I, 39:3, and I just was briefly reading it. I don't think that applies, but I think we need to get town attorney.
You don't, yeah. I
No,
think
just-
we
I
ought to
just-
at least.
If I had
look at
read it and it said it was, I would have said
I
that it
mean,
is.
Bobby
but I
brought
just-
it up, Suzanne's brought it up tonight, so I think we ought to at least look at it.
But I will, when we were meeting with the Attorney General's office, one of the things the woman said, we do understand that you have to get the money from the voters. They understand that. So it's not that, and I think if we go on and do the repairs, we would be meeting that. They realize that we are controlled by the voters. We do what the legislative body says. So I feel that we can meet. I'm not concerned about the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
I have one thing to say. Let's think outside the box. All right? There's $2.6 million available. If we can't fix up that museum with some compromise from the Friends of Libby and some compromise from the town, then that's ridiculous. We could make that museum without a big addition, without making it the Taj Mahal, instead of a Cadillac, making it a Chevy. We could make a beautiful building for $2.6 million that should satisfy everything that the museum needs to go forward for the next 50 years.
I don't want to get in a back and forth here, I really don't, because this is not the
All
time or
right,
the place for it.
I won't address him. I will just address the fact that the donors for 2.2 million did so with the understanding of a conceptual, not a conceptual plan, an architectural plan with an addition.
Right.
So you can go back and ask them if they would give
We're
the
gonna-
money without the addition, but I don't know.
We're going to write them a letter and find out what their ideas are as well. So they may already have some ideas, I don't know.
And I will reach out and get a legal opinion based on some of this
Okay.
conversation I've heard this evening.
Good.
Or ask Amy to.
Okay, other business, we need to come out of the,
I'll make a motion that we come out of the Libby trustees meeting.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're in our regular meeting. Other business. Brian, do you have?
That letter, do you want me to read it?
Yep.
Okay, so we had a warrant article, Article 39, that is, its purpose is to make sure that our libraries are protected in that information that's in them, books and other things that have been there for years and years and years will stay there without being removed because people deem them offensive or not ethical. So we had a warrant article. It was warrant Article 39, and it passed with, I believe, 74%, 72%. And so we are going to be writing a letter because there is a bill right now in Concord that is looking to allow certain books and literature to be removed from our libraries. So we're writing a letter. It's going to our representatives and to the Education Committee members in Concord and to our state senator. And it reads, "Be it known to all, on the 14th of March, 2023, at town meeting, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, the legislative body, by a vote of 1,054 yes to 404 no, approved warrant Article 39. Warrant Article 39 in its entirety states, by petition of 25 or more eligible voters of the town of Wolfeboro, to see if the town will vote to prohibit expending town funds for the purpose of taking action towards the banning of books or any other content from our Wolfeboro Public Library, thereby guaranteeing our citizens their First Amendment rights and their right under the New Hampshire Constitution, Article 22, free speech, liberty of the press. Additionally, to see if the town will direct the selectmen of the town of Wolfeboro to urge the New Hampshire General Court to stop all actions, including House and Senate bills, infringing upon the amendment rights as explained in the 1939 Library Bill of Rights, the 1953 Freedom to Reed Statement and 1999 Libraries and American Value. The record of this vote approving this article shall be transmitted by written notice from the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen to our New Hampshire state legislatures and our Carroll County attorney, informing them of the vote of the March 14, 2023 town election. Estimated tax rate for this warrant article was $0 per thousand assessed value. As duly elected select board members, we affirm this vote, support all its provisions, and note our objections to House Bill 514. Respectfully, the Select Board.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we sign these letters, and there's one to each of.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Brian. Committee reports?
Do you want me to go through the election?
Oh, yes. Linda.
All righty.
She's going to go through the election, well,
Results. I'll give you.
results that we did last night.
Yeah, I'll tell you who won, and I'll tell you on some of the percentages that were bonded. Dave Senecal won. I won for the Selectmen. For the Budget Committee, it was Paul O'Brien, Brian Black, and John McDonald. For the Planning Board was Peter Goodwin and Roger Murray. And for the ZBA was Suzanne Ryan and Audrey Klein. The Planning Board warrant articles all failed. About 3/4 of the voters voted against it, against each one of those warrant articles. Public safety building passed 60.5%, and it was bonded, so it made it. The Libby Museum only received 56.7%, and it needed 60, so that failed. The sewer line extension down Varney Road passed by 68.6%. The water main out front here was 86.4%. It passed. We just talked about the fire truck lease. That passed by 71.4%. The operating budget passed by 67.2%. The added money for our sewer pump station passed by 85.2%. And as always, our roads passed by 88.1%. Green Street passed, mini excavator passed, the electric department boat passed, all the bargaining units passed, the resource officer passed, the cruiser, the veterans credit passed, our capital reserves all passed, and we then go and the Warmth and More passed. Then we go into the petition warrant articles. The playground passed, the handicap ramp going into Cape Park passed, the petition for landscaping in front of the Hunter's IGA, or the whatever it's called now, failed. The warrant article for Park and Recreation Commission failed. We just talked about the Article 39, which passed, and the petition warrant article for the bikes passed by 59.7. And I had written on the bottom of this came for Pat, there was 1,518 voters.
Okay, thank you. Brad, do you have any committee meetings?
Yeah, I had, last week I had a planning board meeting, and then as we were all together yesterday for a nice long day, a nice long visit with each other at the elections.
Yeah, that's all I had was the voting. Again, long day, you're right.
Yep.
Linda?
I had a Wolfeboro Waters Assessment Subcommittee meeting, and we're looking at the testing that we want to do for this coming summer and how we can support the Wolfeboro Bay Watershed Management Plan. I had 3 library search committee meetings. I went to the Chamber's input session on events. They're looking at the events that they have and possibility of some new events. I had a Friends of Pop Whalen meeting. I had a library trustees meeting. I had, just before this meeting, I went to the Chamber Social, and I got to enjoy a day at the election polls.
I didn't have any.
Election, and I have a CIP meeting tomorrow morning.
Okay. Town Manager's report, does he have anything for us?
He did have one item that I believe he sent you an email around noon today before he left on vacation. Mr. Justin Calden of Four Corners Construction came in asking if he could use some of the dockside parking. And the town manager would like you to give authorization to use or give a temporary approval with the issuance of a demolition permit. The gentleman is looking to put fencing and a dumpster. We would lose one handicap spot on fencing, and this would be removed by May 5th, 2023.
I have a motion, if people want to hear it. I move to approve the dumpster and fence behind the downtown grill until May 5th, as soon as a permit, May 5th, submitted in a, wait a second here. Contingent upon a landscaping plan be received by the town and a set date for the plan to be finished. We asked for a landscaping plan for the propane tanks.
Propane.
So I'll read again. Approve a dumpster and fence behind the downtown grill until May 5th, and submit a plan, a landscaping plan to the town, and with a date for completion. Because we had the
Somebody want to
dumpster.
second that?
Will you add in a demolition permit? 'Cause I don't think they have one yet.
I think that is, I don't think we have any say over demolition permit. I think,
Okay.
am I correct?
I think that's.
So I have just one question. I'm all on board with helping them out and making sure that everything works, and that area needs to be renovated, so to beautify it. We know how construction goes. What happens if there's a 2-month delay?
They only can have the dumpster there and the fence until May 5th. They've got to figure it out. I mean, after that, we can't have it down there because you've got people launching
So
boats.
my question is, what's our remedy if that happens?
My only comment would be, my understanding is that the dumpster is for the demo. As far as building, the dumpster will be gone.
Okay,
It's not there for the whole project.
okay.
It's just that way they can have its easy access, they can rip and tear as soon as possible, dumpster's gone.
There's my answer, perfect.
Okay.
Would you just state your name for the record, please?
Jason Durant's building
Thank you.
inspector.
I guess I got a question. Linda, on your motion, they talked about a landscape plan. Do we need a landscape plan because this is a temporary fence and a temporary dumpster?
No, this is the landscaping plan that they promised us when we gave them permission to put the gas tanks
Okay.
in Cape Park.
Side.
And that we have not seen the landscape plan.
Yep.
And I
Nothing's
want a
been done.
date when it's finished.
Yeah.
Here's your plan, here's when it's finished.
Is this the same owner? This guy owned this building too? Okay, 'cause I knew that was, the propane tanks were for the restaurants and stuff. I didn't know if it was for.
Yeah, I made a simple suggestion of a nice screened fence that would be taller than the tanks, that would be over there with a gate, so if they ever needed to change out the tanks, they could just open up a door and take them out. But everybody wants to have big, beautiful bushes in front of it, which costs more money, takes more time. You have to get a landscaping plan, and then if you have to change the tanks out, you got to tear out the bushes, move the tanks, and then put new bushes in again. Seems like a big pain in the neck to me.
We're just asking for a plan, Brian.
Yes.
And we asked for
So-
planning.
Just Tavis Austin for the record. Who is the plan going to?
Plan is, should go to the town manager, which is where the conversation was.
So what I heard the motion to be was that your approval is contingent upon receipt of that plan. So no dumpster prior to plan being received? I'm just
No, I
asking.
didn't mean it that way, that he needs to submit a plan, a landscaping plan. I want to put pressure on him to get that plan to us.
I just wanted to make
I'm not
sure
going to
that-
give him a debt, because if they need to start tearing up, I don't want to do it that, but we can say 10 days, maybe do something like that, so they can get going.
Okay.
If that clarify it?
Did you got a second on that?
Oh, just a minute.
I just have one quick question. I heard in there that you're taking up a handicap space. Will you be painting a new space for the space you're taking up?
There's a handicap space right next to the park at the end of their deck.
But in your comment, you said you're taking up a handicap space.
Correct.
Is that
Right.
correct?
Right, and
Will
there's
we-
another one right down by the ramp, and this time...
So how many handicap spaces do we have down there?
There's that one.
3 or 4, I think.
Yeah.
There's
We have
This is-
one, we have one
There's
on-
4 in that
Yeah,
area.
there's one on the side street between the Avery building,
Okay.
the,
I think one on either end of the...
and then there's
One
one
by
at the end
Dockside.
by Dockside, and then there's 2 by the gazebo.
Would you consider, if there's a problem with handicap spaces, painting a new space down there?
We could put a sign up and use one of the things that way. No problem with doing that. That's why we're trying to get it done by May 5th, so that it's out of there before we get to the busy season.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I just ask who seconded that?
Huh?
Who seconded it?
I did.
Thanks, Lee.
All came from that end. Okay, any questions from the press?
I do not see any press on.
Oh, I think she's in Tuftonboro.
Okay, any public input? None? No non-public. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
10 minutes.